because we have the work session on about that.
So I just went back to work because if I said
We'll call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Grave. Vining.
here,
Germaini. Lamore. Felder. Hayter. Mayor Clark.
Present. I'd ask you all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We have faith and hope in each other and our city. We ask for your guidance in the decisions that are made here this evening. We ask you to help us work for the welfare of this community and all its residents.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, next item, please.
The next item would be approval of regular agenda.
Okay, if the agenda, I'm looking, Manager Robinson, anything, amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Your Honor and Council, I would like to add an additional item, action item at the end of our agenda regarding a Endo International PLC. They are part of a opioid class action lawsuit, and they are claiming bankruptcy. And let's like to discuss that and get explain it to the council a little more in the action item, and be able to get the council to be able to authorize the city attorney to submit a ballot on behalf of the city of Monroe for us to be part of the bankruptcy trust that's going to be created.
Thank you. I know that Attorney Buds had sent out a correspondence. I don't know if there's any other comments. If not,
This will be a closed session item.
Councilman Lamore?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to amend the agenda by making a motion to add an item under council action entitled Authorization for City Attorney to Submit Ballot in Favor of the Endo International PLC's Bankruptcy Plan.
One moment. Make sure, were you asking to go into closed session for the discussion, but just add it to the agenda at this point?
I think we can just add it to the agenda. I don't think closed session is
Oh,
necessary
okay.
for this action.
All right, appreciate it. So thanks for the clarification, and Councilman Felder for asking too. Let me think about it. So there is a motion from Councilman Lamore and supported by Councilwoman Germaini to add the item as stated under council action. Further comments?
you want
Yes, Councilwoman?
the clerk read the amendment back to the.
Sure.
Well, I'm not really certain the exact wording, but I believe, just looking at the motion that was suggested, we're going to be considering authorization for a ballot to be submitted on behalf of the city of Monroe in favor of Endo International PLC's bankruptcy plan.
And it's a ballot, they're not talking about a ballot initiative. They're talking that we, as the city, has the opportunity to make a decision regarding casting a ballot in relation to being part of this. Something we can do here.
Thank you.
I'm looking for our attorneys to make sure I
Yes, I
don't
was.
have anything wrong here.
Participate in the settlement.
Participate
Very
in the
good, thank you.
settlement.
Councilman, anything further? There is a motion and a second. No other comments regarding the approval of the agenda? I guess we need a motion for that, or did we?
Councilperson Lamore made a motion.
Yes, just need approval of the motion.
Okay. And, sorry, please call the roll.
So who was support?
Councilwoman Germaini.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Yes. Vining?
Yes.
Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Thank you. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and item B, approval of payments to vendors. The amount should read $923,107.88, 923,107.88.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda from council for further discussion? Seeing none, is there any items on the consent agenda, those present here this evening, wish to have pulled for further discussion? Any items from those present this evening? Seeing none, a motion of the order, Councilman Felder?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilwoman Stelgrave, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item is under presentations, communications, and public hearings. Item 4481, public hearing on fiscal year 2024 through 2030 capital improvements program budget.
Thank you. Before I open the public hearing, Manager Robinson, any additional comments? I know this is up for our public hearing and later on the agenda.
Yes, Your Honor, this item is the capital improvements program that we did have a joint meeting with council and the planning commission, where all the department heads submitted their projects for the capital improvement program. The Citizens Planning Commission recommended the passing of that, and we will be asking, after the public hearing, et cetera, later in the agenda, we'll be asking you to approve the capital improvements program budget.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. It's a public hearing regarding fiscal year 2024-2030 capital improvements program budget. Any comments from those present here this evening regarding this public hearing? Any comments from those here, the public, regarding the capital improvements program? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
Is item 4479, public hearing on proposed IHM Senior Living Community PUD amendment, and there are no comments on file in the clerk's office.
Manager Robinson, I know this has been through similar, but if you would.
Yes, Your Honor and Council, this item too has gone before the Planning Commission, and it was simply it's a PUD amendment from the IHM Senior Living Community to allow a land division of the property and to add St. Therese as a signatory on that property.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing. If there's any comments regarding the proposed IHM Senior Living Community PUD agreement. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments for the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 4463, Monroe Water Treatment Plant 100th Anniversary.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, any comments before I go and hopefully meet with our Director Leroy?
Well, actually, I'd like, being he's the head of that machine, I'd like to give Director Leroy the opportunity to address council about their wonderful 100th year anniversary for the Monroe Water Treatment Plant.
Wonderful. Mr. Leroy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Barry Leroy, Director of Water and Wastewater for the city. So for the March 1st, 1924 is when the Monroe Water Plant went in operation. And the history behind it is quite astounding. There was a typhoid fever epidemic, and the city of Monroe, well, it was the city commission at the time, stepped up and purchased the existing water system and then developed plans and built over a 3-year period a water plant. And we've been in operation ever since. So it's been a challenging 100 years, and we are very thankful for the support from the city for that. There's been a lot of expansions in 1948 and in 1972. We've had a lot of initiatives with Ozone being one of the first plants in Michigan to have that. We were There was an intent tonight for a bond project to replace about 10 miles of water main. So we continue to renew the system and reinvest in it. And I'm very appreciative of mayor and council and the public and our ratepayers for supporting that. Looking forward to the next 100 years. We do have tours planned for the public on March 1st. There's an online app to sign up for that. So we definitely welcome the public for that. So, yep.
Barry, don't leave. I'm going to come down and see you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just say on behalf of the city council and all of our residents, it's really a great pleasure to be here to give a proclamation recognition to Director Leroy, but also for all of our employees who work at the water plant, not only now, but in the past. And think back 100 years of a number of employees that come through to give service to this community and make sure that we have potable water, be able to drink and use our water that we have as a great resource in our daily lives. So I have a proclamation I want to present to Barry here, and I'm not going to read all of it. He did already speak to some of the reasons how the plant started, but it is an honor and a privilege that the mayor and city council have been given this opportunity to pay tribute to the Monroe Water Treatment Plant, commemorating their 100th anniversary. Before I read some more, I have to think back just a few years ago. Clerk Lavoie and I were in the archives. We were looking for something else. And as we were looking in the old records and books around the time, this was in 1915 when the typhoid fever came through, but it was after that. Every time we were looking for something in the minutes of the old council meetings, handwritten, I kept reading water, sewer. I'm thinking, wow, they did a lot of work back in the 19 teens. And then I understood why after I read a little bit further. But you think about those records and why that was important. And here we are today, and still looking to make sure we provide great service through a clean water and service to the community. So the plant service area is 117 square miles, covering all or portions of 12 communities in both retail and wholesale water service. So it's not just the city of Monroe that gets service from the water plant, but many, many communities. And whereas the system has more than 309 miles of water main piping ranging from 2-inch to 42-inch in size, 3 elevator storage tanks totaling 1 million gallons capacity, and 2 underground reservoirs totaling approximately 6 million gallons capacity. The Monroe water system has more than 16,000 water customers, 3,400 hydrants, and 31 valves to operate the system. It goes on and talks about a lot of the items that are at the plant. I'm going to leave those for those who are able to do the tour and can also read this. I don't know if I can count this high or say the right number here, but it's the Monroe Water Treatment Plant has treated and pumped, well, it's more than 1 trillion. What's after that? 185, 540, 884, 400 gallons of water into the system through December 31st of 2023. So you think about that service, longevity and great service. So whereas on March 1st, 2024, community tours will be provided at the water plant to commemorate this important event. And therefore, I, Robert E. Clark, Mayor of the City of Monroe, in full support of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 1st, 2024 as Monroe Water Treatment Plant. And in Monroe, we take this opportunity to hereby extend our heartfelt congratulations and best wishes to the current and retired employees who are dedicated to a career of public service on this memorable occasion and the celebration of their 100th anniversary. So, Barry, I want to congratulate for you, but all the workers now and past and future. Thank you so much. Can you make any other comments?
Mayor, can you do a picture?
Very good. Thank you.
No, he's going to pass.
To say we have our plant superintendent here, Chris Knight. Not sure if he's going to say a few words, but I just want to thank you for everything. And yes, staff, we have a lot of dedicated staff, and we're very appreciative of the support of Mayor and Council. So thanks again.
Thank you, Barry and Chris, also for being here. You know, it wasn't we now have our e-newsletter, of course, from our communication department. Barry and Chris were both featured in the last e-newsletter, and I see heads shaking yes out there, so they know who you are already because they read the article about you and the great work that they're, not only yourselves, but the water treatment plant is doing. So thank you so much. Thank you, Chris. Clerk, next item, please.
Next item is under council action, item 4502, proposed ordinance 24-002, an update to the zoning ordinance to update section 5.24 to address recreation vehicle parking and storage is up for its first reading, and to set the public hearing and the second reading date.
Thank you. Any comments from council? If not, Mr. Bannisacker, step up, please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. Matt Vanasacker, Deputy Director of Economic and Community Development and Neighborhood Services Coordinator for the City of Monroe. Proposed ordinance 24-002, an ordinance to propose an update to the existing language in the zoning ordinance, specifically sections 5.24, off-street parking and loading, Part G, recreational vehicles, and section 7.02, definitions, the definition of a recreational vehicle. This has been discussed by City Council dating back to May of 2021. Throughout 2023, upon direction from Council, City staff had presented both the existing language as well as some drafts of some language that could be utilized to address some concerns that the citizens were having, both on the enforcement end as well as on the blight concern end. The language presented for first reading tonight is a summary of all the conversations and feedback that's been received by City Council to this point. This draft language was brought before the Citizens Planning Commission at their meeting on February 12th, and they held a public hearing to receive comments. No comments were received from the public at the meeting. Comments from individual Planning Commission members included thinking about adding language to ensure that this language doesn't interfere with any HOA regulations or PUD standards. 24 hours on a public street for parking versus 48 hours in a driveway. There was a comment about making this language consistent 48 hours across the board. 2 weeks under the permit time. Most prep work would not exceed 1 week in length was another comment received from some of our Planning Commission members. Councilman Lamore was also in attendance at that meeting and can speak on behalf of his experience at the CPC meeting. In addition to CPC member comments, we did receive comments from Mayor Clark on the language as well. So I'll defer to you if you want to mention anything about that. Overall, the Citizens Planning Commission agreed with the sentiment of the language, the purpose of it and the need for it, and therefore recommended moving this language forward in the process. In accordance with our ordinance amendment procedures, tonight action is to schedule the public hearing and second reading at the regularly scheduled City Council meeting on March 18th. So.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Mr. Vanasacker? Okay. Is there anything further? Oh, Councilman Felder.
Yeah. We do have mics. Check it out. I have the old language of section G pulled up,
Yes.
along with the proposed changes. Help walk me through with the intention of what we are trying to change. I believe that there is changes in how side yards are referenced, as well as the duration for which residents can park their recreational vehicles in the driveway.
Correct.
What are the particulars on those?
Yeah. So, we can run through it. Are you specifically looking at the kind of the setback requirements, side yard, that sort of thing?
What are the differences with the new ordinance as opposed
Yeah.
to the old one?
It's quite extensive with the language, and I think some of the draft language brought before you was kind of as a new item within the ordinance itself. We decided to include it with section G, specifically the two things focusing on the difference between loading and unloading and storage within the language and definitions for both of those. So, starting with the loading and unloading section, and if you would like, I can bring up. I have a PowerPoint presentation that goes through all of the items specifically, if that's what you would like.
See, now I feel like a wet blanket.
It's quite lengthy,
It's
as
quite
Matt
lengthy.
mentioned. And I think maybe just
I'll keep my questions pointed then. We'll just work off of those.
Yeah, that
unless other
sounds
council
great.
members have additional inquiries.
No, Councilman, if you have some questions and specific in nature on the proposed ordinance, of course, we're doing the first reading today, and there'll be a second reading. There'll be maybe some opportunity, some of that in-depth that you may want to send to the manager, but that I'm not going to dissuade you from having questions and comments now at the meeting. That's what we're here for. So, yeah, I think if there's items that you have that are specific in nature that, that I noticed there were setbacks, he said storage, loading, unloading, the size of the height and things like that. I think were some things that have changed, but please go ahead.
The section G, as it currently reads, is an allowance of recreational vehicles to be parked on personal property in the front, in the side yard, and then on the street or in the driveway for loading and unloading purposes. But for storage in the side yard, the storage in the side yard allowance is now being removed. Is that my understanding?
Not entirely. So as long as it would not project beyond the front building line of the residence, or beyond the front building line if it's on a corner lot of the residence that would be next to it or adjacent, think of it as behind that property, that would be allowed so long as it's on an approved hard surface.
Gotcha.
Additions that might be noted for the council, but also those that may be listening. When you talk about storage, that doesn't mean they're just going to have it back there and turned into blight either. I think that's important because we've been taking strong positions on blight in yards, and we're starting to have weeds and grass growing through whether it be a trailer or whether it be a camper or a boat, and whatever it might be, fit the definition here of the recreational vehicle. The vehicles have to be fully operable in the state of proper repair. And another item is they have to be display a current license plate as well as registration and be registered. We have some currently around in the community. I know I see them and others have it. Are just tucked back there and they've got a cover on them and they haven't moved in the past probably 5 years. We started having this conversation about recreational vehicles. And I think this gives us something that we can at least take some action in to make contacts and improve what might be turned into blight. That's not the reason why all this is here, but it is also there hopefully to prevent some of that. There's still the rear yard percentage that can't consume entire, backyard, or if you have a smaller green space, that's still required. And I think if I read this correctly, you can have up to 2 items within the storage area. That's some of that right off the beginning that I recall. Councilman Moore, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, Matt, maybe you just want to kind of give them a very small version of, for instance, how long they can have it in the street, how long you can have it in your side yard, in front of your building or house.
Yeah, so for standard, no storage obviously allowed on the public street. If you do wish to park your recreational vehicle on a public street, based on this language, you may do so within 50 feet of your property, the property that would be registered, or the recreational vehicle that would be registered to the property owner. 48 hours in the driveway. How you would traditionally think about like someone that would be getting ready to leave for a trip, something along those lines. We also include some provisions if you wish to exceed that 48 hours. There is a permit that you would be able to obtain based on this language within the building division, where it would be for up to 2 weeks, and you could do that 2 times per year. So think about getting it ready for the season and then closing it for the finish of the season. Recognizing that we are a recreational community, it's one of our greatest assets that we have. We want people to be able to own boats, RVs, and utilize them for the appropriate seasons. Anything beyond that 48-hour period then would be considered storage, and if a permit's not obtained, and as such, it would either be in the rear yard of the property or the side yard of the property, so long as it doesn't project beyond the front building line. There's some additional considerations in there, very similar to what you see in our zoning ordinance, section 2 in the actual individual zoning districts for accessory structures, things like height, the percentage that the percentage of the rear yard or side yard that could be maintained by the recreational vehicle itself. So those are really kind of the main factors, considerations that have changed. Just a little bit more definition behind some of the things. I think before, and with some of the language, it's hard from an enforcement standpoint to, look at that existing language and say, okay, it needs to, this needs to be issued a citation versus things I think spelled out in this new ordinance that are very clear indications of what would be citation worthy and what would not.
And just from what my listening to the conversation with the CPC, it just gives everything a little bit more bite, has a little bit more or less gray matter to it, a little bit more straightforward.
Right.
Obviously, there may be some things that need to be changed or looked at, but that's obviously why we're having a hearing on this in March as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know a discussion point that we had previously when this issue was brought up is that in Part D of the same section, location of parking for residential off-street parking spaces, it restricts parking areas from being located in the required front yard or side or street side parking. I know that in our definition section, the front yard encompasses what would be the driveway in the front of the yard.
Right.
Except in Section G, we make allowances for there to be parking in the driveway, which is defined as the front yard.
Yes.
The section seems to conflict with itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking at Section D as well as something that needs to be updated.
I have my feelings on how
yes.
it needs to be amended. And
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
it's a red pen that just strikes out particular words.
You and I had the same same thought process reading through that, and I know that's what our department had as well. So,
Yeah.
I think what we're looking at is bringing some additional zoning ordinance amendments to council, to the Citizens Planning Commission for review. And we have that as part of the first batch. That would be the new batch coming.
So we expect to see a change on that sometime in the future?
In the near future.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? I know one of the items why it's being brought forward as we, as the weather changes and we get into spring, this is of course the time in which people start to bring their recreational vehicles out, prepare them for the summer, take them maybe to the dock, take them to a storage where it might be not there. And we missed the close of that last year. We've talked about it, and we thought maybe we'd have that for the fall when they bring their recreational vehicles back, so we could address it during a time when it was active. So we're trying to get this message to the community that have recreational vehicles. before spring gets here, and understanding that there's probably going to be some kind of a slight adjustments as we move along, and also see how it's functioning, if it's going as we believe it could be from how it's currently written. You know, I know Mr. Van Sacker and I talked. I had a couple comments just more about words and some changes. I mean, if the tires are flat, it's not operational. So that's just kind of a given. We don't have to say that. If you can't drive it away, it's got issues. So that then becomes non-operational. The other one was I thought about the time frame from the driveway to the street, and you know, a person could kind of move them back and forth. I don't think that's the intent for the ordinance, and I'd be disappointed if that started to occur. And if we see that, I'm sure we'll get calls, because we do get calls in the past regarding recreational vehicles, and really trying to find what will work for all, and yet not inhibit flow and visual sight in the street or the front, but still provide the opportunity for the owner to be able to make it serviceable and then on its way. So that's kind of the intent, but please look through that. If there's questions, again, tonight we're looking just to first reading and get the public hearing. If there's some additional thoughts, please bring those forward, and also those that may be here or listening as well as you work through that. But I'll take any other questions if council has them at this time. If not, Councilman Lamore.
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to place proposed ordinance 24-002 on the floor for its first reading and set the public hearing and second reading for March 18th, 2024.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 4502, the proposed ordinance 24-002, and an update to the zoning ordinance. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Ordinance 24-002, Chapter 720 zoning. An ordinance to amend Section 5.24 off-street parking and loading and Section 7.02 definitions recreational vehicle.
Next item, please.
The next item is item 4482, fiscal year 2024-2030 capital improvements program budget.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor. As we just held the public hearing regarding the capital improvements program budget, the administration is now asking that council approve take formal action to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2024 to 2030 capital improvements program budget.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council for Mr. Robinson? If not, a motion would be in order. Councilman Lamore?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Make a motion to adopt proposed fiscal year 2024-2030 capital improvements program budget.
Support. By Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Hayter on item 4482, the fiscal year 2024-2030 capital improvements program budget. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes. Vining? Germaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Hayter? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 4480, proposed IHM Senior Living Community PUD amendment.
Thank you. Manager Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor, as in the last item, this also was public hearing today, and it is just, we're recommending that City Council amend the existing PUD agreement to allow the lot split and adding St. Teresa's as signatory for the proposed IHM Senior Living Community PUD amendment.
Thank you. Any questions from council for Manager Robinson or staff? Very well. The motion will be in order then. Sorry, Councilwoman Germaine?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve proposed IHM Senior Living Community PUD amendment. Move to amend the existing PUD agreement to allow the lot split parcel number 69-01502-000 and add St. Therese as a signatory.
Motion by Councilwoman Germaini, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 4480, the proposed IHM Senior Living Community PUD agreement. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Vining? Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore? Felder? Hayter? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item was the item that was added to the agenda and the number to be added later. It's the authorization for city attorney, consideration of authorization for city attorney to submit ballot in favor of Endo International PLC's bankruptcy plan.
Thank you. Any questions from council, or maybe I should ask our attorney first, Catherine Moore. Thank you for being here this evening. Any additional comments? I know that that came through here quite quickly, and there's kind of some time frame to it, but we've had conversation about opportunities here.
I'd be happy to take any
Questions? Okay.
if there's.
Yeah. Any
Comments.
specific questions? Okay. Councilman Felder.
Is this separate from the settlement that we've already participated in regarding opioids in the past? This is a separate one. There's been several.
Yes.
Okay.
I think when, I know that Attorney Buds had sent out, it just came in today, actually, an email to all the council and administration, and it was an item that is coming quickly because of the bankruptcy, but then there's also putting this fund together that is, I'll say those that submit a ballot for participation and have the ability to be engaged in a settlement.
It's part of the Indo's international bankruptcy plan of reorganization to create a public trust fund. And so this ballot would just allow the city, if there was a distribution, to participate.
There's no other questions anymore. Councilman Hayter?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city attorney to submit a ballot on behalf of the city of Monroe in favor of Endo International PLC's bankruptcy plan.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilman Lamore. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Germaini? Yes. Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please. So we're into comments, and Councilwoman Stillgrave, first up. Nothing today. Councilwoman Vining. No comment this evening, Councilwoman Germaini.
Thank you, Your Honor. Congratulations for our water treatment plant. You don't look a day over 99. Remember that if you want to go to the tour a week from Friday, register online on the newsletter that Barry wonderfully wrote, I want to add. There is a link that you can register to go to it. It's from 8 to 2, so make sure you register so you can be part of the tour, because I'm sure it's going to be well attended. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Lamore.
Thank you, Your Honor. Congratulations to the Water Department on the 100th anniversary. Look forward to being there. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to recognize Mr. Lamore for having his building on the front page of the MML magazine.
It's quite an honor. Thank you.
In all seriousness, it was a wonderful piece, Mr. Mayor. You there, front page. I think it really showed. There was a nice article in there as well. It showed Monroe punching above his weight. So I appreciate all you do for our community when you're in Monroe and without as well. So. But it was a nice article. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure that the mayor can come up with some extra copies. I'll bet. The Salas Center was in the consent agenda this evening, and I know that this council has been familiar with their mission and projects throughout the city. They've done presentations here in the past, and I was pleased to see that they had a project that was moving forward with the city as those services continue to expand. And as there always are with the capital improvements budget, I think there was a couple of items on there that I continue to have additional questions on, but again, none of those are severe enough to warrant a review of the overall budget itself. I think that those individual items can be met when we are faced with them in terms of the funding approval process. I think there was a fairly large one, the West Elm underpass, that I've had some questions on in the past, and I look forward to discussing that item in the future. And then, of course, our goals and objectives session coming up this weekend. I think that that's always a really big event and a really long meeting and a really important meeting that we do every year. So I look forward to spending my Saturday with all of you there. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hayner.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple things. The MCOP and Opportunity Center are having a bowling fundraiser this weekend at Monroe Sports Center. It is to fund an HBCU field trip this July, so get your bowling tickets. It includes 2 games, pop, pizza, and your shoes. And then secondly, I would like to thank Mr. Vanasacker for his presentation. Definitely had some questions and some maybe misinterpretations of the ordinance. And it was nice to get some of those answers, and look forward to working through that and getting that thing passed. That's all.
Okay, I just have a couple of comments. First, I want to thank Attorney Catherine Moore for being here this evening. Appreciate it. Attorney Buds had an item of conflict, and appreciate you being here and also helping with the item on the agenda. Important stuff that we sometimes comes quickly that we need those things. So thank you. Tonight's agenda had a couple items that I thought I just wanted to mention because it's items that we, as a council, with our CDBG funds and other funds, we had a couple items that were related to the FIX program and a bid award on a couple homes that helps those that don't have the ability or funds or need assistance to be able to improve their home to make it more livable, whether it be just a waterproofing or other amenities to make the home safe and livable. So I always appreciate when we see those come through on our agenda. And also we had the manager performance review resolution. I want to thank Dr. Julie Everly for putting together that really worksheet for us. And I think it helps us, it helps the manager, and it helps with communication and as we move forward. And then, of course, also Dr. Everly put together some human resource, some updates on various policies. It's always to get them updated because I started looking through the various ones. I thought, yeah, I remember these old structure forms that, you know, are kind of outdated, but it really makes it better and to read and use. I think Councilman Felder already mentioned this Saturday, starting at 8 a.m. Those that want to see the council, city council work session and goals and objectives, it's available here at City Hall. We'll be up on the 3rd floor, but there'll be access for that as well. It is a very important, as Councilman said, that we have this opportunity to set our objectives for and goals for the next 2 years. We will have a facilitator this year, which I think is a third party, which is going to be rewarding as well, I believe. So, and I want to thank the council for the hard work of the Planning Commission, the staff, as we move forward with an item that for the IHM Senior Living Community, the Plan Unit Development, and with adding St. Teresa, of course. It's a land split is what it comes down to, and we have multiple owners. So the idea is to make those land splits and make them correct. And that way that both can continue their development, their great work for our community, and it stretches well beyond our community. So I want to thank Sister Jane and all the sisters for being here, and Danielle for being here to I guess, answer if there's any questions. And I know that you also attended at the Planning Commission, which is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your work here in our community. That's the only comments that I have this evening. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
Saturday is going to be busy here at the City Hall. We continue to offer early voting to the residents of the City of Monroe here in the council chambers. So if you come tomorrow morning, this room will look completely different. We're going to set it back up. We've had a handful of voters come in, so I encourage anyone who might be curious about the process, even if you don't know yet that you want to participate in the early voting process, I would encourage you to come down, take a look at it, and we can explain it to you, and we can show it to you and show you how it's just it's kind of a natural progression of things. We have absentee voting, we have day of voting, and now we have early voting. So lots of options for our residents. Early voting is every day from 8 to 4 through Sunday, the 25th. So look forward to seeing some more folks come through. In addition to that, the primary is February 27th, so I won't see you again here in council before that. If you want your absentee ballot, you can still obtain one. We can only, however, mail those out up until 5 o'clock on Friday. So if you email us your ballot selection form and want us to mail it out, you have to get that to us so we can put it in the mail by Friday. I wouldn't recommend that, though. The mail has been a little challenged this election, so if you want to make sure you get your ballot, you probably need to make some other arrangements. And finally, I just want to congratulate the election inspectors and staff. They've been doing, in the clerk's office, they've been doing a wonderful job. Staff in particular had to help launch early voting along with the deadlines for the taxes, which are still collectible through the end of this month. So there's been a lot going on, and everybody has juggled everything and offered impeccable customer service. So just wanted to say thank you to them, and as always, council support.
City Manager Robinson, comments this evening?
Yes, Your Honor and Council. First, I'd like to congratulate the clerk treasurer, because this is the first time that this is happening, the early voting system. And there was a lot of misunderstandings, misgivings. People didn't know exactly how it was going to work out, and she has done a phenomenal job in not only running the early voting, but in getting the word out to our public on their options and how to do these things. And I think that it's very good. It's extremely important. There's a lot of lessons learned that she will find as we approach the November elections. And I think that she's done a phenomenal job, and thank you. Again, Council Member Felder stole my thunder, because I was going to remind everybody about the great goals and objectives session that we do have on Saturday, starting at 8:30. I will tell you, and those of you that sat through my State of the City a week ago, or at the last meeting, I think that was proof of the value of the goals and objectives session, as that drives the path that we do every day as me as the city manager and all the staff. That is our playbook, and that is what we do to try to meet the needs of what the council finds is important, which is representing what the people find is important. And I think that I appreciate all of your participation, because there has been a lot of pre-work with the facilitator, and thanks to all of you council members for participating and assisting her in preparing for this session.
Very good, thank you. There's no other, next I'll see if there's any citizens' comments. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments from those present wish to make? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Germaine to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Kilgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Germaine? Yes. Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Yes. Hayter? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Thank you all for being here, and I'm glad that the manager corrected us 8:30, not 8 o'clock.